Dealing with solar energy, well, with depleting natural resources, there is now a call for the use of renewable energy, which is gradually becoming more and more prominent. So solar energy has emerged as one of the most readily available sources of energy. Well, taking a cue from the growing trend, the price, in fact, of solar panels has now dropped sharply, making the adoption a lot easier and a lot faster. In fact, just in the last 5 years, between the years 2008 and 2013, this period, the cost of solar panels fell by 50%, in fact, more than a half. So experts believe that between 2015 and 2017, the cost is expected to fall by another 40% right here in India. So the price gap between electricity generated from thermal, solar, and wind projects has now been bridged due to the fall in prices. All right, well, researchers in the United Kingdom believe that the falling prices will eventually allow the solar system, the solar panels rather, to contribute to about 20% of British energy consumption by the year 2027. Well, not only is the global solar panel market expected to cross the $50 billion mark by the year 2022, it is also going to be making it the fastest growing source of energy. All right, to get some perspective on this, let's go to Vinod Kala, the founder of Emergent Ventures, joining us to discuss perspective on this story in New Delhi. Vinod, great to have you on the program. Let me ask you, in terms of here in India, when it comes to solar, how viable do you think that alternative is? Are people going to embrace that form of renewable energy? All right, well, hopefully I'll try to get Vinod back into the discussion. Again, a quick recap. All of this, of course, coming just after a major car race taking place. In fact, it is a solar car race taking place in Australia. So it draws the bigger question. In fact, even in the United States, a lot of companies perhaps offering incentives, giving people discounts and tax credits if they are using solar panels. In fact, China accounts for 50% of some of the solar panels around worldwide. India, its renewable energy capacity to overtake the EU by the year 2022. India to install about 175,000 megawatts of renewable energy in the next 5 years. A completely new era of solar energy. The panel market to reach about $57 billion by the year 2022. In fact, Japan's space agency also plans to send a solar panel to space. Its agency to collect power wirelessly via microwaves. So certainly a lot of push and buzz all around the world when it comes to dealing with solar and solar energy, not just in India and perhaps Australia and the United States, but a hungry push in many parts of the world, including China as well as in Japan. Again, with some of the depleting resources around the world, renewable energy gradually becoming more and more prominent. Solar energy has now emerged as the most readily available source of energy. It's also taken a cue from the growing trend, especially the price of solars have drastically dropped, which of course makes it a lot easier for many folks to use. In fact, at a period, it fell about 50% in the year 2008 to 2013. All right, let's see if we can get our guests back in. We had some connection issues earlier on. Let's see if we have Vinod back into the discussion. Vinod Kala joining us, the founder of Emergent Ventures. Vinod, let me ask you, how viable do you think it's going to be here in India? How ready are people going to accept solar energy?
Well, as you may have seen, that the solar energy costs have fallen down significantly last 5 years, and they are currently almost, let's say, 70% or 60% of the grid cost of fossil-based power plants, coal-based power plants. So solar energy is definitely very viable, and it is becoming more viable with also falling costs of energy storage. Which also has been reducing very rapidly. The costs have been reducing rapidly, and it has reduced by about 70% in last 4 years. So with these two factors, I think by 2019, with storage, very large-scale replacement of grid energy can take place. So this is very, very viable option as of now.
Let me also ask you, in terms of, markets around the world, how they deal with solar and the incentives that they give. China, one of the bigger markets in the world, in fact, accounting for more than 50% of some of the solar panels. Of course, even in the United States, a lot of them give people the go green, the tax credits, if they use solar panels to perhaps cut down on some of their other costs or electricity costs. Do we perhaps take a cue from the West? Do you think that may happen here in terms of our construction, our homes here in India? Is that something that India could perhaps down the road see?
So India does have an accelerated depreciation benefit, which is also therefore results in income tax savings. But this is available only for commercial industrial clients or commercial industrial consumers and not available for residential customers. So, but residential customers do get some kind of a capital assistance, a capital subsidy assistance right now. So overall, I think in all segments, solar energy is pretty competitive.
What are the pros and the cons when it comes to solar? A lot of people sometimes perhaps think it is a little bit more modern, it's a little bit more difficult to implement, but the costs certainly are going down, which make it attractive, certainly easier and more affordable. But are there any cons? So perhaps you can give us sort of the list of the pros and cons when it comes to the world of solar, especially here in India.
So the con, of course, one is the variable nature of the energy. So of course, it is not, it is not directly going to replace the load curve as it stands today. You will have to balance it with the energy storage. So one issue is the grid integration cost. They need to be properly estimated. The second challenge, India is going in a large-scale rooftop implementation program, and the rooftop implementations, as well as even utility-scale ground-mounted projects, both require distribution companies, the energy utilities, to participate aggressively. But the energy utilities feel threatened by solar because there is some way their current energy mix is getting replaced, and the customers are directly buying solar energy. So that, that tension between the overall economic good of the system, of the economy, and the distribution companies' customers getting taken away, that needs to be managed properly. And I think it is gradually sinking in that overall distribution companies will also benefit because of solar energy implementation, especially the peak hours in the summers can easily be met by at least the day peak hours can easily be met by solar energy.
All right.
And this can also decongest the distribution systems capacity. So that these benefits are actually getting recognized, but there is a slow recognition.
All right, we'll have to wait and see how everything, of course, unfolds here. Vinod Kala getting us the very latest there on the world of solar. Thank you so much for your inputs and updates.
Thank you.
All right, moving on now to a story that everybody's sort of wondering and waiting. It was the big moment today, the speculation that former Reserve Bank Governor Raghuram Rajan could win the Nobel Peace Prize for economics. Well, it turned out to be just that, a speculation. In fact, the winner was announced earlier on this afternoon. The winner is American economist Richard Thaler for his work in behavioral economics. Here's a report.
The Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel to Richard H. Thaler.
Richard Thaler, a professor at the University of Chicago's Booth School of Business, is the winner of this year's Nobel Prize for Economics. He's been awarded for his work in behavioral economics. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said Thaler's contributions have built a bridge between the economic and psychological analysis of individual decision-making. The Academy said Thaler's work has had a profound impact on many areas of economic research and policy. Thaler talked about helping people exercise better self-control, like for saving for something important. He is cited for avoiding marketing tricks that result in bad economic decisions. His theory of mental accounting helped people simplify financial decision-making.
Well, I think the most important impact is the recognition that economic agents are human and that economic models have to incorporate that.
Behavioral economics studies the effects of psychological, social, cognitive and emotional factors on decisions of individuals or institutions, and the consequences for market prices, returns and resource allocation. Thaler will receive a prize of more than $1 million.
Thaler has given us new insights into how human psychology shapes decision-making. He has devised new experimental tools to investigate human behavior. His research has spawned a new field, behavioral economics. And he has shown how policies based on insights from this field can help people make better decisions. He's made economics more human.
The economics prize, called the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel, was established in 1968. It was not part of the original group of awards. Bureau Report, WION.
Well, speaking of behavioral economics, this next story sort of sheds a little bit of light on that as well. The U.S. is now complaining of acoustic attacks on its diplomats in Cuba. Well, now that has hit a dead end. Experts have now questioned whether such incidences are even realistically possible.
In August this year, the United States expelled 2 Cuban diplomats, accusing Cuba of targeting its staff in the embassy in Havana. The United States has also since issued a travel advisory to its citizens to avoid traveling to Cuba unless absolutely essential. And last Tuesday, the United States also expelled another 15 Cuban diplomats. The trigger for this diplomatic crisis were the mysterious symptoms of hearing loss, cognitive difficulties, and in some instances, even mild traumatic brain injuries, which the US diplomats at the embassy exhibited. The United States was quick to accuse Cuba of being the reason behind the symptoms exhibited by its diplomats. The US State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert said, and I quote, "We can confirm that at least 16 US government employees, members of our embassy community, have experienced some kind of symptoms. We take the situation extremely seriously." It was widely being speculated that some sonic devices were being used to target the officials in the US embassy. But now some experts have raised questions over this possibility. To begin with, according to acoustic experts, infrasound waves, which are below the threshold hearing levels of 20 Hz, seldom cause anything more than mild irritation. In the audible sound threshold, that is between 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz, an acoustic attack would be obvious and immediately found out. Hence, the only possibility is a high-intensity ultrasonic device beyond the 20,000 Hz frequency, which would be inaudible and can also cause the sort of symptoms exhibited by the US diplomats. Although acoustic weapons, such as the medium or long-range acoustic devices, have been used for crowd dispersal in a radius of at least half a kilometer, where in short bursts of sonic waves, it is possible to induce headaches in people to make them disperse, a large device of this nature would be easily detected if it were to be anywhere near the US embassy. It was also speculated that small sonic devices, which could be slipped in, for instance in a pillow, could be behind the attacks. But this was ruled out by the US embassy itself, who have claimed that their security is top-notch. So what could have caused these symptoms in the US diplomats, which is threatening to unravel the diplomatic relations which had only recently been established under Barack Obama in 2015? Well, this is a question which the US administration has on its hand. Bureau Report, WION.